What were you signed up for?
Are you taking pictures for the tribe? Yeah. Yep, I'm from DR.
Oh, cool. I'm from the boarding school healing coalition. I'm one of the healers.
Oh, okay. What is your name?
Christine. Yeah, I'm wearing in memory of Roland here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I'd love to.
Do you have a business card?
Yeah, I left my phone in the car and everything.
I'll be here all day.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'd love to get some photos so we can share. And I just wasn't sure if anybody would take. I was like, I'm sure somebody would take better photos than I could with my iPhone.
Right. Right. Okay, let me get set up.
Well, I brought it, but then I was told not to put it up.
Do we have that? Does Joe know where I'll land it?
Yeah, he told me. Does anybody carry travel flag? Okay, so John's just going to carry the travel flag.
Well, these people are CMU. That we're going to support. That's why I say the CMU ones can stay on station. I don't have to carry those in. CABRAL. Yeah, because we're here posted. Are we? Why do that? Why don't you just read it off? Oh, so you can. So,
Whatever flags up here is.
Do you have a veteran going period?
I'm Little Traverse Bay Band, so I'm carrying in the.
Well, I'm not a veteran.
Attention, we'd like to get everyone that has a name placard to join us for this grand entry. Everyone that is wearing a name, please join us for grand entry.
We need to find out if we have one for it. If not, we got a travel member for it, or?
Yep.
Okay, well, that, you can carry our flag. That is no problem.
Nice to meet you.
You'll be our flag. Yeah, that's us. Go over and stand in line with you, but they got me nominated.
Attention veterans, if you're a veteran, we still have some flags that need to join us in the arena. If you could go ahead and to get one of the flags that are under the tent and come join us in the arena, that'd be great. This is one of the traditions that we do for our ceremony, where we ask our community to join us, and they're wearing the names of some of the students, and we're going to go ahead and to invite the Eagle staffs in first, followed by the flags, followed by the names of the students. We're going to go ahead and to do a circle around as the Minnow Ode singers do a grand entry song, and then when they get ready for the flag song, we're going to stand at attention, and then we're going to go ahead and to get an introduction of our Eagle staffs and our flags.
Dang, cool. You volunteered?
Yeah, pumpkin.
What is it?
Done my flag.
Oh, you got a name already? Yeah, so it's right here.
There you go.
Is it? Would you? Hannahville. Put me down for Hannahville there.
And as we get ready for grand entry, please be respectful. No video, no photography during our grand entry and flag song. And I'd like to do a call for Anishinaabe Kwe if they would like to join the Minnow Ode singers to do some backup singing. Any Anishinaabe Kwe that would like to join our drum for backup singing? At this time, we'd like to ask everyone to stand. Gentlemen, remove your hats for our grand entry song. Minnow Ode Singers, ho!
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
like to ask everyone to remain standing and face our eagle staffs and our flags and look around you at this circle of love and remembrance. We'd like to ask our Minnow Ode singers for our flag song, followed by the Spirit of Prayer from Isabella Ozalmic. Minnow Ode. I'd like to ask our elder Isabella Samick to come forward and to offer a prayer on our gathering. Isabella?
Bonjour. Nin mna do execute quendishnikas, pitchen do dem, ko enad moit. Mi gwetch de gom ne dok, usto de ne kingish gaboyek, wabnum, jaunum, epigishmak, kiwednum, spimingishgum, skakmakwe, mampina nagui, wheel. Jimmy gwetch, skudem ne do, Jimmy gwetch, nesewin ne do, Jimmy gwetch, nbish ne do, Jimmy gwetch, a kit nido. Kena enchiek ne shink mi gwetch kidigum. Kena enchiek wesink mi gwetch kidigum. Kena enchiek gigoink mi gwetch kidigum. Kena enchiek nidosak mi gwetch kidigum. Gawin chidagenin we gajum chidodman. Bun gede tushna. Mi gwetch manda no kaden de moin. Mnaden de moin. Mi no zagedwin. Kena goya mushknesh gawad. Mi gwetch gen ang gumampi kena manchidingang, jegunda benojig, mampi ganani ganijik. miigwech katego kinagego nungo mampiwayayat mamawisnyang. Miigwech nagduen miang mino askabu tuyang nungo kinagego wim nagishgak mino wim no mewzyang mampi kina. Miigwech, 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 miigwech. Aha.
Chimigwech, our elder Isabella Ozamek from our Anishinaabe Language Revitalization Program. And for an introduction of our Eagle Staff Carriers, I give it over to George Martin.
Each one of them are you're going to get their name and you're going to post the colors for your staff.
Anin bojo, makwa gaman de go, makwa na to ten. Ujaba nishtame nin sageton gumunji. Miigwech.
Bonjour, oge mama kodesh nakas, gaganush deog donji, banasi dudem.
Negani Gabon de go. Saginaw Kongdon's chief of the Riding Mountain Indians in Manitoba. Miigwech.
Bonjour. Gichidazun Awan Gadao. Minawa Didins and Dishnikas, Kajanang and Dunjuba, Jijak Maga Shagandodem.
Wazu, Apaje, the Nishin. The Eagle Staff is called Badasha, means the spiritual warrior, Potawatomi Nation, Amos Walter Pond, Potawatomi Nation.
My name is Thomas Wilson. This is the Pokagon Veteran Eagle Staff.
My name is Philip Forster. I'm carrying the Ottawa Pacific Huron Band, Potawatomi Eagle Staff.
My name is Larry Berga, carrying the Saginaw Chippewa Tribal Staff.
Bonjour, Kashkateganu, Queen Additional Cars, Michigan Adodam, Shawnee Ojibwe, Potawatomi Dao, Kikonong with Anong, Ajadan and Dodonjaba. I'm carrying the Tecumseh Eagle Staff.
David Perez, I'm carrying the healing staff, the Anishinaabe Veteran Warrior Society.
Oh, bijou, but mommy nene does cause McGeezy and Donum Limit to Goon Dojaba. I have with me and honored to be carrying the People's Eagle Staff with the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians. Oh, watch.
Bonjour, Oima Menaki Makundish Nakas Makodadam, Blancha Dunjaba. I'm carrying the POW MI flag.
Bonjour, Javanum Quay Indigenous, would you wait to say Dodam, Saginaw King Donjaba. I'm carrying the Two Spirit Rainbow flag.
Frank Cloutier, Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe, carrying the flag of the Sault Ste. Marie.
Bonjour, Masish Kong Indigenous, Wabashashi and Nordam. I'm carrying the Grand Traverse Chippewas and Ottawa and Miigwech.
Lagos Indigenous Makwadodam, Saginaw Chippewa and Dunjba, Ron Ekdahl, Tribal Chief. I am carrying the Bay Mills community flag.
Waymana Bujo, Manesi Koy Indigenous Cause, Magazine Nodem. I'm carrying the Three Fires Modebi One Grandmother Staff.
Bonjour, what's no name additional cause bijou and Dodam. Pumpkin Shanana quit carrying in the Gun Lake Tribal Nation flag. Miigwech.
My name is Kelly Patrick. I'm carrying the Pokagon Nation flag, Pokagon Again.
Bonjour. Washatek Nodan, Indigenous Cause. I'm carrying in the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians. Oh.
My name is Gary Collier, and I'm carrying the NSBP Nation flag.
My name is Melton Harvey. I'm with the Halawatsapani of North Carolina, and I'm carrying the American flag.
Hi, my name is Timothy S. Wilson. I'm a United States Air Force veteran. I'm carrying the Central Michigan Mount Pleasant University flag.
Bonjour, Jonathan Cabral, carrying in the Saginaw Chippewa tribal flag.
Bonjour, Dale Anderson, bringing in the Keweenaw Bay tribal flag.
Bonjour, Wasagijik Nadishnikaz, United States Army Vietnam veteran, carrying in the Lac V Desert tribal flag.
Bonjour, Nakachijispa, Chisal, Dinishnikas, Nagizi, Mendodum, Waganishki, Adawa. I'm tribal elder of Old Travers Bay Band of Adawa Indians, Harbor Springs, Michigan.
Chief McGuetch, for helping us get started in a good way. You may be seated. We're going to begin our presentation under the tent, but at this time I'd like to ask Willie Johnson to come forward on behalf of Zebawing, and he's going to do a very special presentation for us. Willie Johnson.
You too. Yeah, I know that guy. About face and dismissed. No, I have a New York one. So 16 Chevy Silverado. I had 2 years. Bike.
I know Thomas is going to help, and I know Caleb is going to help. I let you. Okay, well, the only thing we ask is, everybody.
Been a while, huh? Philip. Have them over there, but they're $5. Yeah, and then they also have another book, but it's for like if your family member was here. So, it's actually really want one. I dropped them off earlier and we're homeschooling back.
We have a lot of beautiful children. I see them, and if we can get our teachers to gather up all our students, all our young students. This portion of the program would be specific to all of us for sure, but we want to have the young Anishinaabe children with us. So if we can get our teachers to gather up our young students as a part of our sacred circle, it is not complete without our young people. So please make yourself bring yourself to the area here. We love it when we have our young people with us.
It's all good. It's an honor. Hey, I know that. I'm flexible for all things. So how's your acclimation?
All our beautiful Anishinaabe children, we're calling you. This is an important part of the program, and we want you a part of this.
And to us.
I can't call for you, but I'm going to two of them. And then I have two. Yeah. Rocky's right there. Hey, ladies! Yeah. Good. How are you guys? Very good. Strength. We can work with
photograph the rooms for marketing. And there's your water source.
Yeah, which room?
There must be going to renovate.
On the second floor?
Fifth floor. Yeah.
Okay. There's a room on, you know, like the beaver room and moose and all that stuff on second. There's a couple of those little conference rooms that have nothing but my watercolors room.
So the new ones, I knew that they weren't going to tell people.
Yeah.
Because the other one that I noticed was old. But these ones I haven't seen of yours.
There's some really good ones. My actual favorite one is in a bathroom. It's like, man, that's my favorite one. Why would they do that in a bathroom? But I've had people request paintings when they're in there. They find me and ask me. So
I'll see if I can send you a couple of pictures of yours.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to see which ones there are.
I knew you wouldn't know.
I didn't know.
I just knew that because the one is really old, so they must have went through your archives.
Probably.
Yeah.
I did sell one, the copyrights to it, just the one, and it's, I think it's, well, it
Linda,
has
what am I gonna do?
my kids.
All my relations.
The title is.
Makade, Wase, Yamagun,
The four directions for us.
And
Little black, shiny light, prismatic stone I am. Little black diamond I am.
That's right.
Makwa, Godem, Bear Clan I am.
Yeah, just the one.
Ojibwe, Anishinaabe, and Dao. Ojibwe, Anishinaabe I am. Saginaw, a king in Donjiba. From the Saginaw Chippewa Indian tribe of Michigan. Namisa Wendan Wi Medewian. I am seeking the Medewian way of life. We'd like to have my tribal elder introduce herself.
Ani Bujo Mino Gishiga.
So you're getting acclimated?
Wabagani Quedas and Kas. Waswanapi Dunjabama Quadudam. I'm from the island that overlooks the water. I'm from the Cree Nation of northern Canada, and my clan is the Bear, Aho Miigwech.
For the past 8 years, we've been honoring the students that perished while they were attending the Mount Pleasant Indian Industrial Boarding School. And this year, we're going to do the same to honor our ancestors who perished while they were attending school, who lost their culture, who lost their languages, and who lost their very lives. We are most thankful for all the tribal community members that are here from the United States of America and Canada to help us with this. We've had the keen insight to honor the Saginaw Chippewa Tribal Youth Council, to recite the names of those who lost their lives while they were attending this school. And we're going to have some introductions, and we ask for your patience at this time before we recite the names of the students who perished while they were attending the Mount Pleasant Indian Industrial Boarding School.
Ani Bujo, Jingo Beans and Dijakas, Mapondo, them, Mishnaba Quay, Mirawa Deon Quay and Dow, Mount Pleasant and Donjaba. And I'm a youth council advisor, and I'm going to be introducing our youth council. We have Paul Showman, who's in 8th grade. We have Matthew, who is a sophomore. We have Thomas, who is a sophomore. Jacob, who's a sophomore. Then we have Kyla, who's in 6th grade, and Tara, who is in 8th grade. Aaliyah, who is in 8th grade, and Asa, who's in 8th grade as well. And then Matthew, Thomas, Kyla, and Tara will be reading the names, so I'm going to be holding the mic for them. So we are going to ask for a moment of silence.
If we can have everybody's attention one more time, please. We're asking for a moment of silence for the students that perished while they were attending the school. And we thank you for honoring our beautiful students. At this time, we're going to recite the names of the approximately 227 ancestors that perished while they were attending the school. And let's be respectful during this roll call. We're remembering deceased. We're remembering and honoring our relatives. Let's be respectful, and the Minnow Day drum is going to sound the beautiful heartbeat of our nations after each name is called.
Reed Claude Purvis. Jenny Adams.
David Chiffinray Chippewa, Isaac Bird, Peter Adams.
Anna Jackson, Sarah Adams. Wait. Sarah Adams.
Jay Harrington. Mercy Hall.
Sarah Changwa. Matilda Bradley.
Willie Jackson.
Joseph Bennett.
All right, Willie Jackson.
Elsie Bradley.
Joseph Chippewa.
Grace Nadawa. Lizzie Sprouse.
Edward Missinger.
Grace Silas.
Joseph Hardley.
Emma Redbird.
Samuel Shores Shoes.
Wim Windigosh.
Eddie Winnie.
Lewis Jackson Jr.
Jacob Magnus.
Alexander Shaw.
Edwin Andrew.
Annie Fritney.
Jason Corbin.
Ethel Shabus.
Lyman Simone Elk.
Peter O'Fish.
Maud Lyons.
Peter Eggleston.
Anne Pontiac. Emma Bell. Jackson.
Samuel Foster.
Sarah Woodson.
Edward Green,
Esther Otto,
Martha Silas,
Jesse Chatfield,
Victoria Fitchett,
Kenny Bradley,
Emma Williams,
Louis Kaway Gashcom,
Jeannie B. Gret,
Jenny Kagugreb,
John Pontiac,
Robert Pashini,
Alice Chickham,
James Jackson,
Joseph Solomon,
Jenny Bennett,
David Williams,
Ida Johnson,
Joseph Pontiac,
Amelia Baptiste,
Ida Chibanese,
Lehman Jackson,
Blanche Bellows,
Cecilia Rapp,
Edward Jenner,
Jane Pontiac,
Abel Wagmase,
Louis Strong,
John Chippewa,
Thomas Eggson,
Ulysses S. Pelcher,
Mary Bocha,
Mary Stone,
Wim Thomas,
Daniel Strong,
Nancy Bennett,
Ida Bolton,
Rosa Elk,
Henry Gilbo,
Noah Henry,
James Hamlin,
Louis Valliere,
Bessie Irons,
Emma Thomas,
Esther Solomon,
Andrew Thompson,
John Thomas,
Mary Corbin,
Roland Paul,
Elma Paul,
Francis Shuckey,
Eli Wheaton,
Annie Pigo,
Jenny Corbin,
Mary Pelcher,
Deanna Donnan,
Daniel Thompson,
how do you say last name? Teresa Coase,
William F. Winchester,
William Batiste Bailey,
Robert Marks,
Mary Williams,
Joseph Gravel,
Janet Thompson,
Elijah Jackson,
Wesley Moses,
Wesley Peters,
Danielle Bennett,
Elizabeth Adams,
Adam Paul,
Lottie Memberto.
David Kuwait Clouds.
Alice Walker.
Lena Hechawas.
Richard Foster.
Samson Williams.
Aggie Foster.
Oscar LaHaye.
Daniel Agosa.
Naomi Pelcher.
Clara Fisher.
Rachel Collins.
Charlie Nixon.
Ida James Fisher.
Julia Bailey. Rose O'Demon.
Lucille Chippewa.
Joseph Chippewa.
Allison Peters.
Dennison Pelcher.
Lena Elk.
Berta Wheaton.
Lossie Jackson.
Claire Collins.
Fred Foster.
Collins Moses.
Isaac Ashquab.
Lena Otto.
Edward Jackson.
Eileen Kay.
William Corbin.
Nancy Bennett.
Thelma Peters.
Eva Mae Chapman.
Mabel Shanina.
Daniel Thompson.
Joseph Williams.
Wallington Pelcher.
Theodore Jackson.
Theodore Jackson. Oh, well, Edward Novotin.
Mary Bowen.
Clarence Medavis.
Lager Collins.
William Asaglin.
Blanche Bennett.
Helen Andrews.
Mary Shawagan.
Louis Joseph.
Silas Hart.
Zalua Fisher.
Patrick Fisher.
Regina Fisher.
Henry Thompson.
Henry Pico.
David LaPointe.
Elchie Gertrude Egypt.
Myron Gordon.
Rhonda Collins.
Laeta Segan.
Charlotte Watson.
Isaiah Walker.
David Thompson.
Lucy King.
Mary Ann Dutton.
Bessie Brown.
Martha Tigasan.
Joe Alexander.
Wilson Johnson.
Dennis Dutton.
Charles Shigana Baby.
Jenny Rep.
Rebecca Shakeway.
Sarah Shakow.
Wallace Shaker.
Angus Dutton. Elizabeth Rapp.
Joseph Ayak.
Grace Dutton.
William Westbrook.
Angeli Johnson.
Frank Dutton.
Victoria Rapp.
Magia Francis.
Albert Francis.
George Williams.
Edward Andrews.
Josh Adams.
Martha Kuhn.
Grace Peter Bennett.
Esther Sophie.
Angus Agosa.
Alcia Gosa.
John Franzway.
Elizabeth Otto.
Louise Augusta.
Harry Pashney.
Charles Augusta.
Eliza Pano.
Joseph Bennett.
Elizabeth Augusta.
Lucy Jackson Davis.
Rose Joseph Sampson.
Sarah Willems.
Pearl Fisher.
Grace Pontiac.
Ida Andrews.
Jesse Kagigap.
Elizabeth Thompson.
Mary Williams.
Isaac Mix.
Raymond Chatfield.
Amos Williams.
Amelia Johnson.
Barney Pontiac.
Maggie Cummings.
Ida Rose Isaac Ashcroft. Girls student of government school.
We thank everybody for your kind attention. This is the future of the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe of Michigan. The Saginaw Chippewa Tribal Youth Council, orating the names of the 227 students that perished while they were attending the Mount Pleasant Indian Industrial Boarding School. The Zeboing Center's research team discovered 227 student deaths utilizing newspaper articles on microfilm, county death records, and other historical documents. The Mount Pleasant Indian Industrial Boarding School administrative records reported only 5 deaths throughout the 41-year school history, and the search for more souls and their final resting places continues. Miigwech.
Ani bonjour. Daisy Desnakas. I'm a survivor of a boarding school. Not at this school. It's over across the river from the Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. from our Michigan side of the of that area. The school there is similar, to this industrial school, and it was called Saginaw there when I was going there at that time, back in the 50s. And I was only about 8 years old, when I first started there. And it was very, very strange to me because I was away from my home officially when I was brought there back in 1950 or so. And it was very scary also then too, because I didn't speak the language that they wanted us to speak. And I only spoke the Cree language at that time. And so when you don't understand what's coming to you, it's got to be very scary at at the age of that I was in. And at that time then too, there were many things that happened, and most of them were to discourage us from speaking the language. And but I couldn't talk because I was only able to speak the language that I was born in. And so I had to keep quiet and listen and pay attention. And most of the time, my friends that spoke the English language would translate for me, and I would try to say it in that language, too. And most of the time, I would say it the wrong way, and that was okay. And my teachers, then too, would help us, and but they didn't speak the language that we spoke. It was only English. And so the students that were able to speak the language would come to me, and others that weren't able to speak the English language, they would do the same with them. And so we were kind of happy in that way. They did help us out a little bit so we could learn the language and not be abused in a way, because as it was, many students were abused, sexually abused, and also if you did anything wrong that you shouldn't have done, we were given the strap that was about 2 inches in depth, and it really hurt at that time. And when you're a small child, that you never got a strap, growing up, that was very strange also to me, because we never got straps at home. And we were just spoken to, but to get a strap was just not the right thing, for us to see. And I felt so bad for some of the students, because they would resist and say things that they're not supposed to, and they got the strap also then too. And I would just cry, to see all that kind of stuff happening, in the system. And so I just wanted to share a little bit of the school that I went to, and I'm just so glad that that we are remembering the ones that have passed on at this school, and there are many of students over on the other side across the river at the Saginaw Indian Industrial School also, that died there too. And they were a lot of their bodies were burnt, so they wouldn't be able to be identified, but the bones were able to be exterminated, and also they were able to get them back, and so they could tell what that person was, whether it was a boy or a girl. And some of them were able to identify them later on in the years, to be able to identify their names also then too. So it just goes to show that the more we dig deep into the history of our boarding schools, we will find many strange things that happen to our people. And it's all across Canada, the U.S., and also over there in European countries also then too, not just here in the USA area. So it's a real good thing that we're able to celebrate the lives and remember and do our ceremonies for our loved ones that have passed on. Oho, miigwech.
So at this time, we'll turn it back over to our MC, Mr. Joseph Somick. We're going to hear some keynote speaking and we're going to have a welcome from our Saginaw Chippewa Tribal Chief and dignitaries from Central Michigan University and the city of Mount Pleasant. So we can retire ourselves to the main tent, and we thank everyone for their kind attention and most thoughtful respect for our ancestors.
Chief McGuitch, Zibuing Curator Willie Johnson, thank you for that special presentation. Just wanted to go ahead and to do some housekeeping notes. If you haven't signed in yet, make sure you sign in at our registration table. And we have some souvenir buttons for sale that kind of help us out with the funding for our HHR program. So if you get a chance, go by our registration table. And by the teepee, we have our fitness department that's doing a raffle. They have some cultural items that you can get a raffle ticket for. Proceeds go for the Michigan Indian Family Olympics. You can buy a $5 ticket, or you can get 5 tickets for $20. And Brother Jaden is over there at the tent if you'd like to go ahead and to help us out with the raffle. We also have our prevention department in the house, and we also have the Isabella County Human Rights Commission with us, along with our domestic violence program, Nambi McGeezy Nangligan. We'd like to thank them for coming in, and we're going to go ahead and to go under the tent so we can go ahead and to continue on with our morning program.
Hey, George. Oh well. Sorry, you're right there. That's good to see you. Bonjour. Chippewa, Nijinaka, Samek Dodom, Saginaw Jibwe Dojaba, and Nishnabi and Dao. My name is Joe Samek. I'm a tribe elder with the Elder Advisory Program, and pleased to go ahead and to be your MC for this event today. I'd like to say Chi Miigwech for everyone that joined us for the sunrise ceremony over there at Mission Creek. We had a wonderful pipe ceremony. We had our Anishinaabe Kwe there to do a water ceremony and to share strawberries and some good teachings with us. And we appreciate everyone being a part of our grand entry and our flag song ceremonies and the reading of the remembrance from our Saginaw Chippewa Youth Council. We do have a couple of dignitaries with us this morning, and we'd like to give an opportunity to go ahead and to have some introductions. And we have some special guests that joined us this morning from First Nations Canada. And at this time, I'd like to go ahead and to welcome once more our Saginaw Chippewa Tribal Chief, Ronald Ekdahl, to go ahead and not only to introduce the Tribal Council members in attendance,
but to go ahead and to give an official welcome to everyone here for this ceremony, but also for our visiting dignitaries from First Nations Canada. I'd like you to put your hands together for our Saginaw Chippewa Tribal Chief, Ronald Ekdahl.
I pull my notes up here. So I'm gonna give my welcome, and at the end I'm gonna ask all of our leaders who are here, both tribal leaders and our non-tribal leaders, to stand and be recognized, because I think it's important that we're all here in a sense of community, and that we're here to recognize what this place is about. So first off, I'd like to just on a personal level, talk about what took place and the honor that I had to stand with our veterans this morning. And I carried a flag in, and that was a great honor for me. My father is an Army veteran, as well as both of my grandfathers were Army veterans. So I'm not a service member myself, but I come from some service members in our family, and I'm very appreciative of what you veterans have done, you service people have done for our country and for our freedoms. I think it's very fitting, that today is the 75th anniversary of D-Day, and we have, to stand with those veterans. It was moving for me. It was something that really meant a lot to me, and to hold that flag, you really feel the weight of that, how important it is, and to think about those veterans who carried those flags into war and who went and fought for our freedoms. I can only imagine a time of world war, a time of everybody going and fighting for a common good and a common goal. And I'm just so thankful that we were victorious, and that those great men and women were able to go and do that and to make those sacrifices, and those who lost their lives doing that. Such an honor to stand with you veterans. So miigwech, and I really thank you for that. So, we're at this place, and it's called a school, an industrial school, a boarding school. But this place was built for children, right? This place was for children that were taken from their families. They were taken from their families, and they were sent away. We have a tribal community right here in Mount Pleasant, and the children that were taken from this community were sent outside of the community, for a strategic reason. And to sit here and to listen to those names being read, recognizing the children who lost their lives here. We're not talking about elders. We're not talking about grown people who had life experiences and who were able to go out and live and to enjoy everything that we have. These were children who lost their lives here. And it's just unbelievable to me. As a father of 3 young children, I can only imagine the heartache and the loss that those parents must have felt. To have their children taken from their homes, to not be able to teach them their own values, the things that I strive to teach my sons every day, what it is to be a good person, the values that I want them to have growing up as young men, to not be able to tuck your children into bed, kiss them on the forehead. I take my son to school every single day, and I drop him off, and we go through 3 rules. Excuse me. Oh. He says, I go, what are the rules? He goes, be a good person, listen with your whole body, do your work. I said, good. Yeah, good. Do your work, right? Make sure you do it all. Make sure you're mindful of your words, and make sure you keep your hands to yourself, right? Because little boys want a rough house, and in today's day and age, it's not always well received. But he says that to me every day, and I can't imagine not being able to do that. It breaks my heart. So this was a school, right? This place was set up to teach children. But the purpose behind this, and I'm going to be very direct, and it's not well received by some people. But the purpose of this school and of the, the reason that these places were made was to kill the Indian and save the man, right? To teach us a better way of life, to erase our culture, to erase our language, to take away all those values that we as Anishinaabe people are able to celebrate today. And this place was in direct opposition to that. We're still here today. We're still here. The significance of that drum at this place, the significance of these eagle staffs in this place, the significance of our language, that means something. When you really think about the purpose of this, these grounds and what took place here, that's truly significant that we're here and we're able to have all these tribal nation flags here and have all these beautiful Anishinaabe people here and have our children here. Our children who are learning culture, who are learning language, who are in direct opposition of what this place was built for. That's moving, right? That's important, yeah. I just want to take some time to recognize the survivors. We had a survivor of a boarding school who addressed us, and she told her story, and I'm very appreciative of that. But she's not the only one. We have many survivors in our communities, and they don't talk about this openly. They don't talk about the tragedies that they suffered, the hardships that they had, and how they had to go on their lives without those values of family, without those values, without that love, without understanding really what it means to learn your culture and to learn from those people who really care about you, who love you. And they were sent off into the world to survive, right? To try to make it on their own. They're still here, and we still struggle with the effects that this place had on those people, the hardships that they had, the historical trauma that they carry with them, and the effects that it had on their family. The effects that it had on their heirs. The young children that had to grow up learning and living with parents who were traumatized, because that's what happened to them. They were traumatized, and then they were expected to be functional, successful people in society. And it's just, when I think about that, it gives me such a perspective on how fortunate we are today to have the freedoms that we have, to have the ability to come together, to recognize that, to speak our own language, to have our own culture, to do everything that we as Native people have, and to teach our future generations that and find a better way forward. So at this time, I would like to recognize our dignitaries, and I'd ask you all to stand. Current tribal dignitaries, if you're a tribal dignitary now for our tribe or for your community, please stand to be recognized. I'd also like to ask those non-tribal dignitaries to stand. We have president of the university, we have the mayor of Mount Pleasant, up here on the stage with me. And I just want to recognize you for being here and really taking in all of this for what it is. Okay, this is a part of our history. This is an unfortunate part of our history. We have a lot of hardship, and it shows, I think, that sense of community. It shows that sense of togetherness, that they're willing to be here, they're willing to be a part of this, and that they're willing to learn. Just walking by the pipes with President Davies and explaining to him in a brief overview of the significance and what that actually means and what those pipe carriers are tasked with doing, and the responsibility that they have and how important it is to our tribal people. So, Chimigwech for being here. I'm really struggling with, just a lot of things going on. I think this place is just so heavy. There's just a lot of spirit here. There's a lot of hurt. And thank you for listening to me. And again, thank you for being here. And enjoy this day. Let's celebrate life. Let's celebrate our culture. Let's celebrate our language. Miigwech.
Chief McWetch, for those heartfelt words, Chief Ekdahl. You know, when we were out there in that circle of love and we're remembering our ancestors, it's a good message to go ahead and to look at those 7 grandfather teachings that we have, and go ahead and to be grounded in ceremony. And just like we did with the sunrise service, to go ahead and to come in here in the spirit of prayer. It's a wonderful thing to go ahead and to have all these Eagle staffs and all of these good teachings and those Powagans available to go ahead and to help us heal. Sometimes when we talk about how do you forgive the unforgivable, just like our elder Don Koya said from this stage many years ago, the way that we forgive that is with love. And I know the love that has been shared from our tribe, it does move within this community, and in a lot of ways, a lot of that love comes from our university friends. We have our CMU students that were joining us, and they helped us out as volunteers from the anthropology department. And today with us, we have a couple dignitaries from Central Michigan University. Chief Ekdahl is a graduate from Central Michigan University. And at this time, I'd like to welcome our CMU president, Robert Davies.
Bonjour. As Chief Ekdahl said, this is a hard time. And on behalf of Central Michigan University, our faculty, our students, and our alumni who are with us today in so many different ways, I am humbled and honored to be here. I'm humbled and honored to be here because I'm learning, I'm hearing, I'm seeing. I'm seeing the power of you all that have, and what you are doing to remember, to honor, to heal. For way too long, this school was a place of sadness, and as Chief Ekdahl said, it was a place to destroy. When we think of schools, when we think of education, it is to bring people together, not to tear down. People were forbidden to practice their religions, their spiritual being, to be themselves, to have their own language, to understand their sense of family. That is the antithesis of what we all stand for. The reading of the 226 names by the Saginaw Chippewa Youth Council, with the drum beat, the heartbeat after each name, brings to life and a sense of remembrance for those young men, those young women that had so much potential. And when we think about what occurred here, not only were 226 lives displaced, lost forever, but the potential of those individuals, what they could have done, what they would have done, the power that they would have brought. So today, we're here to honor, to heal, and remember. We have to acknowledge the injustice of the past. We have to always remember what occurred so it does not happen again, and to work to create a new sense of purpose for this place that will always honor, but also look forward. It is a place of learning. On a personal note, and Chief Ekdahl alluded to this, every time I have the opportunity, the glorious opportunity to be with Chief Ekdahl, I learn something new. I learned something new about the history, the traditions, the culture of this fabulous nation. Today, as he mentioned, lesson plan was the pipe carriers, and how the pipe carriers continue on a very important purpose and legacy, and how it has transformed so many individuals, and how the pipe finds the next carrier, which is truly remarkable. On a broader scope, seeing our students with our faculty member, with the digger across the way, Sarah Surface Evans, and her students help us understand what life might have been like here for the children here at this school, at this place. It truly is important research, because through that work and through those efforts, Because it's now a National Historic Registry place, we know it'll always be here, and to serve as a reminder of what can happen and should not happen. Healing also means proactively seeking opportunities to grow and to expand the knowledge. Whether it's offering Central Michigan students the opportunity to take Ojibwe language classes, inviting Native American scholars to share their stories, life experiences, is it through the Denison Visiting Professorship Series, are simply coming together to celebrate and to acknowledge how our histories and traditions intertwine and support one another through the powwows and the various other types of celebrations. We are doing many things, but more importantly, we can do more, and we must do more to benefit our community, our country, and our future generations. This important work must continue. We must honor, we must heal, we must remember, but we also must learn. So I am honored, more importantly, I'm humbled to stand here today with you in a commitment of this historic moment. Thank you for allowing Central Michigan University to be a part of this very important day. Chi Miigwech.
Chi Miigwech, President Davies. A lot of times we talk about earning our PhDs on the fasting grounds, on the Hill. We talk about being able to go ahead and to go into the lodges, into the ceremonies where we get a chance to learn about cultural diversity and what's been handed down to us from our ancestors. And we appreciate the relationship that we have with Central Michigan University and with Native American programs, a lot of the work that Colleen Green is doing with our Native students there, and the outreach. We appreciate having support from the Vice President of the Diversity Initiatives of Central Michigan University. I'd like to bring up A.T. Miller to share a little bit about his thoughts with what we're doing with this honoring, healing, and remembering ceremony. Dr. Miller.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be here with all of you today. It is an interesting thing that this institution, which called itself a school at the time, has now actually become a school because it is now teaching us and we are learning. And so those who built it at the time maybe had no knowledge that we would take what was here and turn it into a healing, a remembering, and an honoring place. And it is an honor for me to be here today. It was unknown to me several years ago when I had the honor to be in Canada with Senator Murray Sinclair of the First Nations in the unfolding and revealing of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission there for Indian schools. I was invited by Denise Green, who some of you may know was here in Mount Pleasant doing similar work to what I'm doing now at Central Michigan University. And the ways of this world are so interesting that then I had no idea I would come to Mount Pleasant. I had no idea there was an Indian school in Mount Pleasant. I didn't know that these streams would converge. And I think that that convergence, that feeling, being at the cemetery this morning, understanding the many ways that the world is one, bearing this name of John Thomas, 13 years old, and entering this circle with him and with his spirit and in this place with all of you is a moving thing, and it is so much a part of who we can become. And so I am again humbled to be here. It is a wonderful responsibility that I bear in my work to build inclusion and community across not just the university, but in our triple relationship here of tribe, town, and gown. And it is also wonderful to have the convergence of so many people across this continent here in this place today to remember and be part of spirits that some people thought had been cut short, but they are here with us now. And so we continue to build and know and learn. Thank you for being here with me today. Miigwech.
Chi Miigwech, Dr. Miller, Vice President of Diversity for Central Michigan University. We have our Mayor of Mount Pleasant, Will Joseph, with us today. And the important thing that I noticed with Will is since he's become mayor, he's made a commitment to come to our tribal events. And it's one thing when you look at resolutions, when you look at proclamations, but isn't this really about people? Isn't it about making that personal commitment? And when you see elected officials making the time and effort to come and to be with our tribal leaders, with our tribal community, that speaks volumes. And to see Mayor Joseph there at the sunrise ceremony, I just like to say a special Chi Miigwech for that, Will. And I'd like to ask the City of Mount Pleasant Mayor Will Joseph to come up to the podium. Will?
Thank you. That was a very kind introduction. Bonjour. Just want to say miigwech for having me here today. I am obviously not a tribal member, but I'm an alumni of CMU, and I just want to speak, I guess, from a personal note that, you know, at Central Michigan University there's a culture of respect and towards the Saginaw Indian Chippewa tribe. And I was talking to A.T. Miller, Dr. Miller earlier. We need to, even though there's that culture of respect, we need to educate our students more about the culture and integrate them more than we already are. And I'm also an associate with the Saginaw Indian Chippewa tribe. I work at the water park, and there's actually a group of students here today that yesterday morning I served them breakfast at 8 in the morning. They surprised me. They're like, yeah, we have a group of 20. And I was like, okay. But I just, I want to speak about this place. I'm not from Mount Pleasant. I came here to go to school. And then I've stayed and been really involved in our community. And this building always sort of holds a little bit of, when I drive by it, you can kind of feel your heart sink and your stomach drop a little bit when you know the history about it and the way people talk about the history here. It's something that it can really hits home. And I remember the first time I actually stepped on this property, it was a few years ago. It was right over there, and I remember just sort of feeling a heavy set of, you could tell that something was here, and being here today, and the ceremony at the cemetery this morning, I have to say that my heart is really opened, and I feel it's one of those moments where you feel very emotional and you don't know why and you don't know how to say it, but I definitely feel it today. I just wanted to say thank you to Chief Ekdahl. We've had a great relationship, and to all the tribal members that I've been able to meet over the past year or two. And as a city official, obviously we are in concert with trying to preserve this land, to commemorate the history, and really to make sure that it's not lost in the years ahead of us. Some of us, all of us have, you know, a day where we won't be here, but we know that the people around us will be, and that's really something for me that's really important as my time as a city leader, is to make sure that I do all that I can when it comes to the Mount Pleasant boarding school here, that its history is saved, and that the stories of the people who were here and the cultures of the people who live on are remembered and cherished. And I just want to give a Chi Miigwech for having me, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Jim McGuetch, City of Mount Pleasant, Mayor Will Joseph. I just wanted to share a cultural teaching that came from one of my elders, Makate Anaquet. You know, as he was talking about the 7 grandfathers, he was mentioning honesty, truth, wisdom, bravery, love, respect, and humility. And one of those grandfathers that he said to pay attention to is that grandfather humility. And being Beaver Clan, the way he explained it to me after a fasting teaching, we're up at Mission Point, and we're on the banks of Lake Superior, and he reaches down and grabs a handful of sand, and being Beaver Clan, he'd always call me Flattail, and he said, "This is all we are, Flattail. All we are grains of sand on Mother Earth, and we're only here for a short period of time." And he talked about the importance of being a good ancestor, but he gave me something that I truly believe in, and maybe our brothers and sisters that are joining us from First Nations Manitoba can relate to this. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. We're no greater than, we're no less than, we're all a child of the Creator, and we're here for a purpose. And in this purpose, who knows that here we are coming for this honoring, healing, and remembering, but we get a chance to make that circle of love out there. And how are we going to go ahead and to help each other heal? I think a lot of times we can concentrate on our differences, and certainly even with Central Michigan University, the City of Mount Pleasant, even with the Saginaw Chippewa tribe, once we concentrate on how we're similar instead of different, maybe we can learn from each other. At this time, I would like to ask our delegation from First Nations Manitoba, because we have a lot of elected leaders and spiritual teachers that came to join us for our sunrise ceremony, and they shared some good, powerful words with us. And I would like to ask that delegation to come forward to the podium, and I would like to ask them in a heartfelt way to share how some of these teachings that they heard today and some of the actions that we can see here at the Honoring, Healing, and Remembering ceremony resonates with their community. So I'd like you to put your hands together for our delegation for First Nations Manitoba.
Chimigotch, Gijimani tu, Nungum, Ogamama Kodishna Kaz, Gaganushtar Dunji, Ganasi Du Dim. Bonjour, Dinoe Magani Duk, my relatives. I hope you're feeling well today. I can hear your yelps and screams, and thank you for allowing us to come and visit your land and your traditional territory. Chief Hakta? Hakta. Okay. I need to spend more time with him and learn a bit more about the territory. I want to acknowledge Puagan, our grandfather, the pipe, and also the history of the pipe, Sky Woman who brought the pipe to the people. I want to acknowledge that. I want to also just share with you a few teachings, I guess, just as we're here. The rattle, when you shake the rattle, that is the beginning of all life and existence. The elders told us that it was the first sound that we heard in the beginning. And so I think that's important. Anishinaabe people, and the reason we're here, Anishinaabe Ininuk, I am Anishinaabe. I'm from Gaganushtiag, Long Plain, and in Manitoba, or where the Creator sits, Manitoba. And I was elected about 2.5 years ago by 34 chiefs who came together and elected me, and I've been given that great honor to serve our people. And my hope is that we start to build our alliances and reconnect, and also to share with our young people their great journey that they're inheriting, and the gifts that they bring from the Creator. That those gifts are truly serving their purpose. And I heard about the gifts that we bring. They're not really ours. They're the people's. We have to share them. And so I guess that's part of why we're here as well, to share our story and our from where we are. We have a gathering that we've been working on since I guess November. Well, I know it's been talked about for many years about the Anishinaabe Nation and our people coming together. And I hear that there's also some work being done very similar on the eastern door, I like to think of it, of the Anishinaabe Nation, between the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe. 2 spoons in one bowl, I think it's called. It's an old treaty, I guess, between the Anishinaabe and the Mohawks, or the Haudenosaunee, on the eastern side of the Anishinaabe Nation. And so we're endeavoring to bring our people together in hopes to speak of the clan systems and the roles of our clan mothers and our elders, and we want to hear the stories. We want to give our young people a place to speak and to be in ceremony, to learn about Nano-Bouger, whose story was told in the fall time. That's when they spoke of Nano-Bouger. And our people actually spoke very softly in the fall, but as it became colder and colder, they started to speak about the Windagukan, or the Windagu. And the stories became much more serious because you started to get to the end of the cycle. And so those are things that were passed on to me, and so I like to share them. So I thank you for giving me a few moments here. I came with Chief Bone, who is a long-serving chief from our region, from Kisikowinin. He's a very important advisor of mine and mentor, going back many years before I was ever a chief. I was a youth leader. I was part of Idle No More. I was an activist in the community, and I spent much time as a young person with Chief Bone and many of the chiefs throughout the region, getting them coffee and doing things like that, just so I can listen to them and build that relationship. We have had a memorandum of understanding signed with 12 or 13 mayors in our region, all in the metro region, and our chiefs. It was a large signing between many of our chiefs and it was at Treaty 1 site, Fort Garry. And we agreed to work together on water management, to partner on economic development, to look at waste management, and there's quite several other issues that we're looking at. We want to resource share. We want to see how we can work with the health system as well, the regional health authorities. How can we share governance? How can we build off of best practices? Those are the kinds of things that we're doing in our region. And so it's really nice to see the mayor here. I think that's very important when you're trying to plan and work together. It really is about relationships, and so that's why we're here. We invite you to the Anishinaabe gathering, which is held during the full moon in August. The 16th is the last day, and I think the 13th, 12th, 13th I think we're going to start a little earlier because we're going to be we're going to be prepping. And usually we get so our grass dancers, the Grass Dance Society, which I'm a member of, my great-grandfather all the way back, we always went ahead of the tribe. We went ahead and we danced the grass down for the arrival of the community. And so we will likely be doing something like that. We want to host a round dance. We're asking people to bring rocks from their communities and from where they are, so that it symbolizes the putting the nation back together into a pile there, and then we would leave that there because in the old days we would actually leave rocks. It would say, okay, we went this way. It would actually tell the story of why were we there and the direction that we went after. So those are the kinds of things that we want to do. We want to try to put some of the work of our grandfathers and grandmothers into practice, and hope to see it utilized more and more. And so you're all really invited, and I know Chief's going to share a bit more about Kisikoinen, and I think it would be good to hear about all the different things that are happening, and how I know Chief Orogichida Francis Kavanaugh has asked that we have a declaration signed there, or some sort of a statement coming from the Anishinaabe Nation about the importance of us being connected, and to try to formalize some sort of a working relationship going into the future, and a message for our young people. So thank you, my relatives, again, for a few moments of your time, and I'm so thankful to be here and acknowledge the young people and what they've had to go through, and honor their spirits through our work. And that is my hope. And the work that we do as leaders is not as enriched or as it's not as well developed without all of you. All of you are a part of making the world a better place. We, the Anishinaabe, we're the big-hearted people, the good people, the star people. And that's why we wrap our people in star blankets, because we are descended from the stars, and we have a great important role here, and that is to make this world a better place. So, miigwech tino mimarga.
Miigwech kinaoya. Digani gabo gani digo. Saginaw kong don't say. Ami chine ento mabe kuskit tonji nani boyan. Ongi chiga ki to nani dio gene chiga ki to si. Ta shuk chanish na be gije pa ki kidat. Yung gene chiga ki to chiga ki to. To chine satun ga ki git. Joye ikna mago gije jaga na shimon. Mi ege ngop mi abo jeton ka ki to. Mi e das ko des ko ni ga ni ko chiga nish na be an ko gon kenny make be not gonna guess. English. Now in English. Thank you very much. I'm chief of the Kisikoinen Ojibwe, or the Riding Mountain Indians in central Manitoba. But as I was listening to my young Grand Chief talk about and the idea about bringing the rocks, see, my community is always after more land. So you can bring a gravel truck of dirt too, and bring rocks, whatever it is you want. If you can get across the border with it, sure, bring it. Bring it. We'll maybe extend our land over there. But I want to thank. I have to do that. But I want to thank him for announcing that. And the time frame of the Anishinaabe gathering is, and we're hosting. We agreed to host it for my community. Is August 12 to 16. So if you have friends or relatives, or if you can make it, please come up. We'll do our best in hosting all of whoever attends. We have elk meat, we have fish, we have berries, we have all the same kinds of foods that somebody's seen down here. Right? And one of the things that, before I get onto that, I want to say I'm really thanking all of you for allowing me to. It's like a privilege to come here, because as I mentioned earlier, well, there's Indians over here, and they have like the flag and all the ceremonies here. I'm glad to see all of that, because as we move in this whole business that we're in of protecting who we are or regaining our identity, we forget that there's people down south, further south. I wonder how far the Anishinaabe go, quite a ways south. And as I mentioned earlier too, is that they've also gone quite a ways west, up to the mountains. There's Anishinaabe all the way that way. And when you go east up in our area, they call themselves, I think, the Algonquins, or Anishinaabe Mokina, but their other language is French. So, but they're there too. So there's all of us in between around the lakes. So there's a lot of us that are alive, and I guess have been struggling in each of our areas to deal with what has happened to us. So I think that it'll be a good start. The Anishinaabe gathering, the way that we see it, is going to be one of the first ones, and we're really appreciative to host it. One of the first ones that's happening in Turtle Island, with the divisions that were created by the newcomers, and their systems. But we invite you to bring and share all of your stories at that time, so that we can have that exchange. As Grand Chief said, is that in the end, let's create some kind of a pact with each other, so that we never lose who we are. Because I can see already, even today, there's a lots of evidence that we have survived well in the past several hundred years of what has happened to us here in our own land. And I think we can further make that step, with new arrangements. And I was glad to see a mayor here, and some other non-native people here, and they're even using our language already. So that's good. And here they're starting to say the words too. So, but I wanted to thank, especially what we experienced this morning, and I want to thank all of you for the emotion, to allow us to experience the emotion of, as referred to it earlier, as love, as a result of the ceremony. But the emotion of pain, with the reading off of the loss of the children, I want to thank you for all of that. It's happened on our side of the line also. We've lost many children as a result of, I guess, this new age that's come to us. And I think we have a lot more, and I'm really glad to feel that the emotion here and being here, and to be with those children, and to spend time and recognize their names and hear their names. And with that, on our side, just to give you another side story, is tomorrow in my community, we run our own school, and we have a program. We do things like land-based education outside. So tomorrow my community is having, the school is all going out to an outdoor classroom. We have a quarter section of land where they're spending time out there, just to be at the land, and also to do the ceremony there, do some drumming and do some singing, and also it's too early to pick berries, but they're going to go for hikes through this piece of land that we have just within our community. And one of the things that I'm missing is my son. What he's going to do, excuse me, I can feel the pain, And what he's doing is tomorrow is him and a young group will be singing outside. We have the songs that we heard this morning. They're going to be singing some of those songs tomorrow within my own community. And I was telling my wife, make sure you take some pictures or some kind of videos, because I'm going to miss it, because I'm down south here, so I said visiting. But I understand the importance, and I'm going to miss that. But I'm glad that he's strong enough to be able to do it and sing. Like, he came home one day and he says, Dad, he said, we're singing at the school. I said, oh, okay, good. I said, I was encouraging more of that, because I think all of our kids got to come home at the end of the day saying stuff like that. We've done a language program. They said, hey, Dad, I know all the words one-on-one, now one at a time. He said, we've been taught all the words. Now I need you and Mom to talk in paragraphs, he said. I need you and Mom to talk full. He said, in the evening, when you get home, he said. So we've been doing that to help. But I wanted to share that a little bit with you, and I thank you for listening to me. It's quite an experience. Like, gee, holy smokes! There's someone that's lost at sea, and we're going to try to do as much of it as we can today. And again, I want to thank all of you. And again, as a reminder, it's August 12 to 16. We invite you to bring your stories and bring your land, and come and join us, and we'll try to feed you. I don't know if we might have a little bit of gas money. You have to make it home too, so we might have some of that. We just opened it. I better not. I'll be talking right till, like the elder said, I'll be talking right till the sun goes down, so. But I want to thank you for this experience. It's been a terrific experience, and I want to enjoy more for the rest of the day. Now I said too much, so now I'll listen. Miigwech Kanauya.
Voilà, bonjour. Je me nomme Mako, Pogima Indigo. Mako ne tote, Ojiba Nishnabe nin Sagatong Donji, Yewe take your name in on it. Boy, Inge Nishinama, I was going again. Kino, Inge Nishu. Inge Nichi came down Ma Bijan Mino, Mount Pleasant. The Bijan Ma, Voyager, Niwe. Ni Wabadana, we're going to Nishnabek, Atutanama. Chicago, Kinama Gawin, Kinama Gawinan, Kinama Gagamic, Gay. Boy, Nimush don't gay ni na ma, these feelings. Peka. Miigwech dana gakana ma nongong. Miigwech dana paganak. Miigwech dana nagamonan. Awa chinishna bek. Miigwech dana agwek shkaya sakama kya. Mewe bimad zwin hanis mewe. That's life. Chimeja. The Gumakana, away, Shkunagan, away, Saginaw. Mears no gum, Nikama, Kinama gave, Kinama gave it. At the university, she Kinama gave it. Magis Nishaganashi. My name is, Bear Chief. My English name is Jerry Fontaine. I'm Bear Clan. I'm an Ojibwe speaking human being, and I'm from the place where as I said this morning, from where the river widens. I was a chief, an Indian chief, many years ago, and I left the politics to go and get my PhD, thinking that education was less political than politics. But lo and behold, I find you have some representatives here from the university, and I see there's professors here as well. But education is probably, there's just a big fight going on within the education system as there is in the political system. Because you know, they're standing up for what should be taught. It's about our story and about who tells our story. And this is part of that. And what the Chief Ekdahl and your community are doing here, I think it speaks to that. And so I see that. I was teaching at Algoma University, just north of here, almost straight north. But as of effective June 30th, I'm going back home. I'm taking a position at the University of Winnipeg. But I just want to share that a little bit. And I just want to, two things I want to mention. Agwek, Ojibwe, Udawa, Iskitwa, Medishnabek. If it weren't for our people, our nations, what we have today, in the United States, Chimokman, okay? Shikomiwe te, Kiwait no, Canada and Kateka. Okay. If it weren't for Oblontiac and the Three Fires, you know, this land, resources, treaties we wouldn't have in Anishinaabe. We wouldn't be benefiting from those treaties. We wouldn't be benefiting from what Oblontiac and the Three Fires stood up for in 1763. So we owe a lot to that man and to those that stood with him to challenge you know, what was taking place in 1763. They were standing up against loss. I mean, even in 1763, we were there was fear that we were going to lose our language, that we were going to lose our land, that we were going to lose our lifestyle, and they stood up in 1763. And then meanwhile in 1812, you had Tecumseh, Shigawashigwak, that said, look, you know, the treaties aren't being respected. They're not being honored. And if we're going to negotiate and sign treaty, we do it as a collective. We do it as a people, as a nation of peoples. Not one chief, not two chiefs. That's what these leaders were speaking to. So every time I mean, the point of all that, every time I come here, boy, I get you know, I get emotional, and I feel the strength, because this is the home of Montreal. And the last thing, I guess I'm talking too long, but the last thing I just want to say, the Agwek Nishwej Kutekan Anishinaabe Kodush met for the first time in the modern era, in the contemporary era at Gidganzibi, just north of here, for the first time in 1991. The three nations of the Confederacy came and met and started talking and again about what nationhood was about what Pitaban meant to our people, and where we were going to go for the future. And then we didn't meet until 2007 again. And you know, it's interesting that from 1763, probably since the point of first contact, we're still talking about the same things today. And then you have the young Grand Chief and Chief Boone that are talking about this gathering of Anishinaabe Mewete Genebenong in Kisi Kunan that's going to take place in August. Boy, that's we need that, our people. And you know, I said jokingly this morning that Anishinaabe, boy, they like to fight, eh? So we fought in 1763, we fought in 1812, and all throughout the wars this world has seen, our people have been standing up for people that have that are less fortunate. So me and with that, I have to say, I have to say with all my heart, and I want to share. I always end with this story. You know, when I was Indian chief at Saginaw, I always used to end my talks by saying, "Oh, from the bottom of my heart, until one day, after one assembly, an elder came to me and said, "Why do you always say from the bottom of your heart?" I said, "Well, boy, you know, I'm happy, but he says, you know what that tells me? When you say that, you're telling the people that your heart is empty." Then I say, well, what do I say? He said, you tell the people, you tell us with all your heart, she made which, because you're telling them your heart is full of love and respect, and you're giving that to them. So, with all my heart, made which, hi.
I need a stool. Bonjour, Kashkete Gini Queen Edition Kaj, Michigan Dodam, Shani Ojibwe, Potawatomi, Ndao, Kikonong, Wikwanong, Azudena, Nudon Jaba, Nijo Medeo. It's an honor to be here today. I acknowledge all of the organizers, our Ogima, veteran, head veteran, George Martin, for taking care of us in that very respectful way, and Steve, and everyone who came here today. I'm told this is the center fire, and in our teachings, they tell us about our creation story, our migration story, our clan system. These are the teachings that is very, very important to us. When we talk and speak about our introduction, I have a great teacher that teaches us that our introduction should tell who we are, where we come from, what our roles and responsibilities are, and where our ancestors rest. So my Saginaw name is Patricia Jaunu. I come from the Jaunu family. And we come from a line of strong-hearted grandfathers and grandmothers, ancestors who stood up for all of life. When I hear people mention the border, in our home, we were raised not to say the border. We were told, my dad would say, come on, everybody in the car, we're going to go visit our relatives across the creek. It was unspoken to speak like that. He corrected us every time until we didn't talk like that. And I think we all can learn from that. There's an imaginary line there, controlled by governments, that continue to divide us. And our grandfathers weren't about division. They were about standing up together, where all chiefs represented the people, where all chiefs would come together and stand up in unity. We have no time to operate in division, because there's many distractions out there that are continuing to take our children, disrupt our families and our communities. We have distractions like drugs, opiates, dismembering our families, our nations. We have descendants of our relatives who attended boarding schools and residential school. Over here you say boarding school. Across the creek we say residential school. Over here you have BIA. Across the creek you have DIA. Now those leaders, those chiefs that are being recognized by those entities, I see more and more returning and holding up their sama in their left hand. They're speaking about reuniting through ceremony. And those chiefs are struggling in our communities because our communities are so divided from the effects of what's taken place. And it's time now to start supporting them. You might not like every single decision they make, But they need to know that you're supporting them to do the best job as they can. Our ancestors didn't know all of this division. They knew how to come together and eat together. They knew how to come together and sit together. They knew how to come and sit and visit and go door to door and have tea. That's how they came together. That's what the memories they gave each of us in our communities. Now, what controls our communities when it comes to communicating with one another? Media. The internet. You can't have tea with an elder over the internet. You can't have tea through Facebook, because that may be your only chance to ever sit with an elder, to sit with the Ogima, to sit with a veteran and collect the stories that they carry. They're just waiting and waiting for you to come and listen, because soon they're going to be gone. And they're only going to have so much time here with us that we need to hear them. We need to know what their story is, because that's what we have to carry for that next generation. So I stand here today firmly with my ancestors. I stand here because I come from the third stopping place of that great migration, where it holds a Confederacy seat, Bekejwaning. I recognize this place as the center fire of the Niswa Ishko Dakon and Nishnabego Dishko Dakon, the Three Fires Confederacy. And I want to say Chimigwech for coming here, because I too, my grandmothers were part of the residential school. And not only do we have to live and pick up those pieces and see it in our people, we feel their pain, we see them, how they're trying to put together their families to understand the political forums. But it's up to us for each to help each other. That's the only way we're going to be able to clear that path for the next generation that's coming behind us, and they're watching us. They're watching and we're waiting for us to give them that knowledge. We have grandchildren. I'm a grandmother of 7 grandchildren. 7 grandchildren that look up to me and ask me questions. Kokum, what is my Anishinaabe name? Kokum, what is my clan? Kokum, who are my ancestors? Are you going to be ready? Are you going to be prepared to answer them? It's at gatherings like these where we come together and pay tribute to those ones that experienced the ultimate, where their life was taken. It's those ones I stand here in my heart and speak these words to you. I want to say Chimigwech to each and every one of you for being here, for welcoming us in the center of fire. And I take back with every smile that I receive here today. Every hello, every warm-hearted, whatever it is we share, whatever your part was in this gathering, I'm going to take that home, and that's what I'm going to tell my grandchildren. Miigwech.
Chimigwech, good teachings, good medicine from First Nations Manitoba. As we ask our elder Daisy Costas to come forward, she's going to share a blessing on lunch, but like to go ahead and say a big Chimigwech for our First Nation visitors. Let's give them a hand. And one message to my elder from the Saginaw Chippewa tribe: with all of my heart, let them know in Manitoba, where there's a will, there's an Ojibwe. Yeah.